Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching this out there on the World Wide Web. This is Jeremy Geelan for SYS-CON TV. I am here at 9th Cloud Expo, Silicon Valley. I have with me Nagraj Seshadri, which means we must be talking dynaTrace, Nagraj. Absolutely. Congratulations on the acquisition, or on being acquired, rather.
Thank you. Yep, nice to be here.
What is the most important thing that dynaTrace is doing for the cloud? I think you should say that. I think it's also the most important thing.
Absolutely. So what we do is that we make applications that are running in cloud environments run much faster, perform better, and be more robust under load as well.
Now, what could be more important than that? Performance.
Absolutely. I mean, if it doesn't run fast, it doesn't respond, if users have a bad experience, nothing really matters because they don't get the application, the business doesn't really run.
So let's back up for people who haven't followed the story. Let's place dynaTrace in the sort of the great scheme of things. You know, you guys really know what you're doing. How come?
Well, thanks to the genius, really, of our technical folks back in Linz, Austria. But, I mean, that apart, the fact is that we've taken a completely new architectural approach to application performance management. We started the company a few years ago, and the fundamental tenet of the company is really to take a transaction-centric approach to application performance. So basically, you look at business transactions all the way from a mouse click in the browser through the different tiers of the application to the database and back. So when you get that transaction-centric view, that gives you a whole new world of application performance.
And you're saying that's unique to dynaTrace. So what are the other APM guys doing?
Well, typically APM, as one might describe it, has evolved in different generations. And obviously it reflects the level at which applications were built. So traditionally you had the client-server type model, and there it was really about network connectivity. So it's like, hey, is the network on? Are the packets flowing? I mean, am I getting the yes on the other end? That was the basic requirement. And the APM companies of that day in the 90s built the technologies to make that happen. But then applications got more sophisticated. We got component level distributed applications where you had all these different pieces of applications doing different things, and you had different tools that picked out certain parts of the component, the network infrastructure, a particular server. So you had the tools evolve at that level. And a lot of these tools got acquired by bigger companies, and then the innovation really kind of slowed down. So at that point, dynaTrace came in with what we call as a third generation APM, where we take a complete application-centric view and a transaction-centric view. And that basically means that we don't really rely only on statistics or averages. We really get the factual information by actually sitting inside a JVM or a .NET, measuring applications and reconstructing the transaction traces, really, end to end.
Now, for people who didn't understand why I said congratulations on being acquired, right, perhaps we ought to fill them in. Who, why, what, when, where?
Sure, yeah. So dynaTrace was a VC-funded company, founded in 2005 out of Austria. We then moved to the US, had a global headquarters here. And earlier this year, in July, we actually got acquired by Compuware. And Compuware, as you know, is a large company, and one of their big divisions was application performance management. So they wanted to get the cool new magic secret sauce that we had with our PurePath technology, so which is why they bought us. And it's a very complementary fit because you have the Gomez application performance management. For example, they really excel in synthetic user monitoring, just as an example. So while we do the real user monitoring, so now you get a combination of both synthetics and real. That's on the browser side. On the data center side, for example, we have the data center real user monitoring, which is an agentless system, so which is really good for certain data center type applications, while we are an agent-based system. So there you can see there are synergies, and of course we do bring this whole new technological view of a transaction-centric approach, which makes a lot of sense for
What would be my pain points then? If the transaction-centered approach is what is more helpful, what am I suffering from that I'm going to say, oh my God, you're doing it that way, that's what I've always needed?
Right. So basically, traditionally, many of the monitoring tools have followed a siloed approach, where if you had a problem on the browser, you had a certain tool. If you had a problem on the web server, you had another tool. If you had a problem on the network, if you had a problem with the infrastructure, hey, the server is not running fast enough, not enough memory, you had another tool. So very soon you end up with a bag of tools, which is like about, half a dozen, and just trying to correlate, hey, some user complained. Look at the logs, look at the server logs, look at the database logs, and look at the utilization and what happened. So basically, it's trying to solve a puzzle with very limited information, and that can get challenging. So we take that all out of the equation, because we say, all right, here's the transaction, we capture it end to end, we have all the context around the transaction in terms of where it went through, what hops did it go through, which servers did it use, especially in a distributed environment. I mean, you could have a transaction going through a non-determined, predetermined path. So we can actually trace the transaction and tell you, hey, this is where it went, this is the server utilization and environmental as an environmental variable, and at the same time give deep transaction information in terms of what was the user, what data was transferred, what methods were called, and what parts of the application were actually used in this transaction.
All right, well, let's imagine I've drunk the Kool-Aid, I'm convinced by the Nagraj pitch, and I want to connect with you. I go to dynaTrace.com, but then what?
Well, you can do several things. You can go to dynaTrace.com. You can sign up for a free demo. You can download our Ajax free edition, go play with it on your website. You can read all the good stuff we have on our website, and you can give us a call. Email sales at dynaTrace.com, or go to our, I don't remember the telephone numbers, but you can call us.
I think we've got enough points of entry. No, that's brilliant. A personal invitation. Go to sales. I love that. Sales at dynaTrace.com, and Nagraj will take care of you. Thanks so much for joining us here in Santa Clara, Nagraj, and thank you for watching this out there on the World Wide Web.